As the clinking glasses echoed in the lavish ballroom, I stood frozen, heart racing, my son's laughter fading into a haunting silence. Just as I raised my glass to toast his new beginning, my husband's voice sliced through the air, revealing his laugh for another woman, one he'd been seeing for 2 years. My world crumbled in that instant, the joy of the day overshadowed by betrayal. Guests exchanged shocked glances, and my son's face turned pale, confusion etched across his features. In that moment, everything I believed shattered like glass. My name is Sarah. Love can be as sharp as a knife. The silence that followed David's declaration was deafening, a heavy weight settling over the entire room. I felt as if I were in a surreal nightmare, watching from a distance as my life unraveled. Jenna clutched Michael's arm, her eyes, surprised, wide with disbelief, and I could see the pain flickering behind her gaze. My heart ached for her. She had been looking forward to this day, her day, but now the happiness was replaced by confusion and sorrow. The laughter and music, once vibrant, faded into a muffled hum, replaced by the frantic beating of my heart as I tried to process what had just happened. I glanced at David, standing there with a foolish grin plastered across his face, as if his confession had somehow lightened the mood. I fought the urge to scream at him, to demand he take it back, to make him understand the devastation he had just caused. Instead, I felt a coldness creep in, dulling the pain just enough for me to think clearly. I needed to gather my thoughts and figure out my next move, but my mind was a whirlwind of emotions. Anger surged through me like a tidal wave, threatening to sweep me off my feet. Michael's voice cut through the thick tension, shaky yet strong. "Dad, what are you talking about? How could you do this? Today was supposed to be about love, about family." I could see the hurt etched on my son's face, the disbelief mixed with an almost childlike hope that this was all some sick joke. My heart twisted at the sight. He deserved so much better than this chaos. Jenna stood frozen beside him, her eyes darting between Michael and David. I imagined the questions racing through her mind. Did she know? Had David led her on? My best friend Linda, who had been sitting a few tables away, rushed to my side, her presence a grounding force amidst the chaos. I could sense her urgency to pull me away from the scene, but I knew I needed to stay, to face David, to confront the man I had loved for so long. "Mom, can you say something?" Michael's voice cracked, pulling me from my thoughts. The weight of his gaze, desperate, bore down on me. I felt every ounce of sorrow he carried, all of it directed at me. My throat tightened, and I struggled to find the words. But the truth felt like a lump stuck there, impossible to articulate. "Michael," I finally managed to say, my voice barely above a whisper. "I'm so sorry. I had no idea." My words trailed off as David interjected, his tone defensive. "I didn't plan for this to happen, Sarah. It just happened." I turned to him, aggressive fury igniting within me. "Just happened? You think that makes it any better?" I could feel the room's eyes on us. The guests whispering among themselves. The once jubilant atmosphere replaced with palpable tension. "You've shattered everything for the sake of a fling, and today should have been about our son's future." David's face paled, but he stood his ground, the cockiness draining away. I didn't want to ruin the wedding, but I couldn't keep this secret any longer. It felt wrong. Wrong? You think coming clean today was somehow the right way to handle this? I shot back, my voice rising with each word. The disbelief in Michael's eyes cut deeper than any knife ever could. Let's just sit down and talk about this, calmly, David suggested, though his tone held an edge of desperation. I glanced at Michael and Jenna, both visibly shaken, and I knew they couldn't bear to see any more of this. I took a step back, my heart racing. No, David. We're not going to sit down and pretend this is anything but what it is. A betrayal, I said firmly, my resolve solidifying like iron. You've ruined our family's moment, and for what? A lie? Linda stepped closer, wrapping a comforting arm around my shoulders. Sarah, let's take a breather. You don't have to deal with this right now, she whispered, her voice low and reassuring. But I couldn't just walk away, not when Michael needed me. I glanced back at my son. Michael, I'm so sorry you have to witness this, I said, my heart breaking anew. I wanted to shield him from the fallout, to protect him from the emotional fallout of a love turned sour. Jenna looked at Michael, her expression shifting from surprised to anger. I don't even know who you are anymore, David, she declared, her voice angry yet trembling with hurt. You made a promise to be here for us, to be part of this family. David shifted uncomfortably, caught between the chaos he had unleashed and the reality of what he had done. He opened his mouth to respond, but no words came out. I could see the cracks forming in his facade, and part of me relished the sight. He was not invincible after all. I need to leave, I finally said, turning to Linda. I can't stay here and watch this any longer. I felt like I was abandoning my family, but I knew I needed to breathe, to gather myself away from the chaos he had created. Sarah, wait, Michael called out, his voice strained. Please don't go. I hesitated, torn between my son's desperate, pleading eyes and the overwhelming urge to escape the scene. I wanted to protect him, yet I felt so lost, so shattered. I'll be back, I promise, I said softly, locking eyes with him. I wanted to be strong for Michael, to show him that even in the darkest moments, we could find a way through. I took Linda's hand, grateful for her support, and we made our way out of the reception hall, leaving behind the echoes of sad, broken promises and shattered dreams. As we stepped outside, the cool air hit my face like a refreshing wave, but it did little to calm the storm inside my heart. The night sky stretched above me, vast and unyielding, yet I felt small and inconsequential. I had to confront the heartbreak that loomed ahead, but first, I needed to reclaim my sense of self amidst the ruins David had left behind. I took a deep breath, letting the crispness of the evening ground me as I walked away from the chaos inside the venue. My mind was racing with thoughts of David's confession, the piercing words still echoing in my ears. How could he do this to us? Especially on such a monumental day in our son's life? It felt surprised, surreal, like a scene from a movie that I had been cast in without my consent. My heart was heavy, but I knew I needed to confidently pull myself together for Michael and Jenna. They deserved their moment of joy, despite the storm brewing around us. As I wandered toward the garden area, I could hear the muffled sounds of laughter and clinking glasses from inside. The celebration continued, seemingly unaffected by the heartbreak I was grappling with. I had always been the pillar of strength in my family, and now I felt like a crumbling statue, barely holding it together. I sat down on a stone bench and closed my eyes, trying to gather my scattered thoughts. It was then that I sensed someone approaching. "Sarah, there you are!" Linda's voice cut through the silence like a warm hug. I opened my eyes to see her standing there, her expression a mix of concern and compassion. She quickly settled beside me, her presence grounding me. "I saw David's toast. Are you okay?" I couldn't help but let a small laugh escape, albeit bitterly. "Okay? No, I'm not okay, Linda. I don't think I'll ever be okay after what he just did." My voice wavered as I spoke, the reality of my situation crashing over me like a tidal wave. How could he stand there in front of everyone and confess his love for someone else on our son's wedding day? It feels like a betrayal I can't even comprehend. Linda nodded sympathetically, her hand resting on my knee. I can't believe he would choose that moment to share such a personal revelation. It's cruel, and I'm so sorry you're going through this. Her eyes were filled with genuine concern.
And I could see the angry rage simmering beneath her calm demeanor. "You don't have to deal with this alone, you know." I looked into her eyes and saw not just a friend, but a fierce ally. What should I do? I don't want to ruin Michael's day, but I can't just pretend everything is fine. "Let's take it one step at a time," she suggested, her voice calm. "You need to talk to David. You deserve answers, and you shouldn't have to carry this burden in silence. Michael and Jenna are busy, and they may not notice right away if you step outside for a few minutes. You need closure before you can fully support them." Her words struck a chord within me. I needed to confront David, not just for my own sake, but for the sake of our family. "You're right. I can't let his actions define this day for Michael, but I feel so lost. How do I even start that conversation?" "Just be honest about your feelings," Linda encouraged.
Tell him how hurt you are, how his confession shattered your trust. You deserve to express your pain and get clarity on what this means for the two of you moving forward. As I stood up from the bench, I felt a flicker of confident determination ignite within me. I couldn't let David's choices dictate my happiness any longer. "Okay, let's go inside. I need to find him." Linda walked beside me, her presence a comforting weight that eased my anxiety. The closer we got to the entrance, the more apprehensive I became. I could already hear the clamor of voices. The music that should have felt joyful now felt like a mockery. As we entered the hall, I spotted Michael and Jenna at the far end, sharing a quiet moment, oblivious to the turmoil that threatened to upend everything. David was standing at the bar, laughing with a few guests, his demeanor relaxed and carefree. It infuriated me to see him so unbothered, while I felt as if my world was crumbling. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for the confrontation ahead. "Wait here," I told Linda, knowing I needed to face David alone. As I approached him, every step felt heavier, but I pressed on. The noise around me faded into a dull hum, and all I could focus on was the man who had shattered my trust. When I finally reached him, he turned and met my gaze, a hint of confusion clouding his eyes. "Sarah, hey, I was just—" "Save it," I interrupted, my voice firm. "We need to talk, now." The laughter and joy around us faded into silence, and I could see a flicker of concern cross his face. David opened his mouth to respond, but I didn't give him the chance. "Do you have any idea how deeply you've hurt me, how you've hurt our family? You chose this moment to share your feelings for someone else instead of celebrating our son's wedding. What were you thinking?" He shifted uncomfortably, running a hand through his hair. "I didn't mean for it to come out like that, Sarah. I was just caught up in the moment. I didn't plan on—" "It doesn't matter what you planned," I snapped, the hurt spilling over into anger. "This isn't just about you. You've put our son and Jenna in a terrible position. You've made this day about your own selfish desires." I could see the color drain from his face, and for the first time, he looked vulnerable. "I know, and I'm sorry. I just—" "Stop." I cut him off again, needing to regain control over the situation. "Sorry isn't enough right now. I need to understand what this means. Are you really in love with her? Is this the end of us?" David's expression softened, but the uncertainty in his eyes told me he was wrestling with more than just regret. "I don't know, Sarah. I've been confused for a while, but it doesn't mean I want to lose you or our family." I shook my head, heart pounding. "You need to figure that out, and fast. For the sake of our son and the life we built, we need clarity." I could feel tears welling in my eyes, but I wouldn't allow them to fall, not now. As David looked at me, I could see the conflict churning inside him, but it was his next words that would shape my understanding of our future. I braced myself, knowing this conversation could change everything. "I need time to think," he said finally, his voice barely above a whisper. I stepped back, the distance between us now palpable. "Then we'll take that time, but not until after Michael and Jenna's wedding. We owe it to them to keep this family intact for just a little longer." With that, I turned away, feeling the weight of uncertainty settle over me like a shroud. I couldn't predict what lay ahead, but I knew one thing for certain. I would not allow David's choices to break me. I would find a way to redefine my life and emerge stronger. As I returned to the celebration, I couldn't help but glance at Michael and Jenna, their happiness evident as they shared laughs with their friends. For them, I would put on a confident face. My son deserved the best on his special day, and somehow I would muster the strength to be there for him, even while my heart was still in pieces. In the days to come, I hoped to find the clarity I desperately sought, not only for myself, but for the family we had once been. This was far from over, and I was determined to navigate through the storm that lay ahead one step at a time. If you want to follow Sarah's journey and discover how she confronts her fears and builds her future, subscribe for more heartfelt stories. After the chaos of the wedding, I spent the next few days in a haze, my mind a whirlwind of thoughts and emotions. The house felt hollow without the joy of celebration. Every corner echoed with memories of laughter that now felt tainted. David's words replayed in my head like a haunting melody, each repetition cutting deeper. I found solace in my routine, clinging to the mundane tasks that once brought me comfort, brewing coffee, folding laundry, and tending to the garden. Yet each simple action was overshadowed by the weight of betrayal. Michael and Jenna were navigating their own tumultuous feelings, and while I wanted to reach out to them, I feared my own heartbreak would only add to their confusion. Linda, sensing my struggle, became my hope line. She showed up at my doorstep with a homemade casserole and a determined look in her eyes. "We need to talk," she stated.
ushering me to the kitchen table. I appreciated her directness. It cut through my fog. Over the next few hours, Linda listened as I poured my heart out, revealing the depths of my sad pain and fear. I don't know how to face David again, I admitted, burying my face in my hands. How could he do this to us? To me? Linda reached across the table and squeezed my hand, her grip steady and reassuring. You need to take time for yourself, Sarah. This is about you now. Whatever he's feeling, you have to think about your own happiness. Her words resonated with me, igniting a flicker of hopeful resolve within my chest. I had spent so many years prioritizing my family that I had neglected my own desires and dreams. Determined to reclaim my sense of self, I began to put a plan in place. I signed up for a pottery class at the local community center, an activity I had always wanted to try but never found the time for. The thought of getting my hands dirty and creating something tangible excited me. It felt like a small step towards rediscovering who I was outside of being a wife and mother. Each week, as I shaped the clay into beautiful forms, I felt a little of the weight, calm lift from my shoulders. In the midst of my newfound pursuits, I made the difficult decision to confront David. I needed answers, and I wasn't going to let fear hold me back any longer. One evening, as dusk settled around us, I found him sitting in the living room, lost in thought. His expression was pained, and for a moment, I felt a pang of sympathy, but that quickly faded as I reminded myself of the truth. We need to talk, I said, my voice confident despite the turmoil inside me. He looked up, surprise flickering in his eyes, but he nodded slowly. I could see the sad guilt etched on his face, and part of me wanted to turn away, to shield myself from the confrontation. Instead, I sat down across from him, forcing myself to hold his gaze. I want to understand, I began, feeling the words rise from a place of deep hurt. What happened? How could you betray me on the most important day of our son's life? David sighed, running a hand through his hair, and I could see he was struggling to articulate his feelings. I didn't plan for it to happen this way, he finally said, his voice barely above a whisper. I never meant to hurt you or Michael. It just happened. His words were a angry, feeble excuse, and I felt anger surge within me. But I held it back, focusing instead on the truth of my own emotions. You say it just happened, but that's not an answer. You chose to love someone else. I couldn't hide the bitterness in my tone. He opened his mouth as if to argue, but then fell silent, the weight of my accusation hanging in the air. I was unhappy for a long time, he finally admitted, his voice sad with regret. But I should have talked to you. I should have fought for us. Hearing him say that made my heart ache. I had sensed his discontent, but had thought we could work through it together. I had no idea he was harboring feelings for someone else, and that realization cut deeper than I expected. As I processed his confession, I felt a mix of sadness and resolve. I need time, I told him firmly. We both need time to figure out what we want. I won't pretend everything is fine when it's not. I deserve that much. David nodded, his expression a mixture of relief and despair. And in that moment, I knew I was taking the first step towards hopeful rebuilding my life, even if it meant stepping away from the familiar. Once the conversation ended, I returned to the kitchen, where the faint smell of fresh basil lingered from the pasta I had prepared earlier. Cooking had always been a comfort for me, but now it felt different. I realized that I was hopeful, reclaiming my space, my life.
With every chop of the vegetables and stir of the sauce, I felt empowered. I was no longer just the wife of a man who had betrayed me. I was Sarah, a woman capable of standing on her own. Later that night, as I lay in bed, I felt a strange sense of clarity. The future was uncertain, but I was beginning to understand that I had the power to shape it. I could redefine my life, not just in relation to David or Michael, but as an individual. I allowed myself to dream about what I wanted next. Travel, pursuing hobbies I had long abandoned, or simply enjoying quiet moments filled with laughter and love from friends and family. The path ahead wouldn't be easy, but I was confident to embrace the challenges. I took a deep breath and closed my eyes, feeling a flicker of hope ignite within me. Tomorrow, I would call Linda and tell her about my pottery class. I would share how I was beginning to feel like myself again, piece by piece. I knew the road to healing was long, but I was hopeful to walk it, even if I had to take it one step at a time. The next morning dawned bright and clear, yet the sunlight seemed to mock my turmoil. As I sipped my coffee, my thoughts were a whirlwind of emotions: betrayal, sadness, confusion. David's confession replayed in my mind like a broken record, each loop sharp and painful. I glanced at the empty seat across from me at the kitchen table, a stark reminder of the distance that had grown between us overnight. My heart ached for the man I thought I knew, yet his words had stripped that image away, leaving me with a stark reality I never wanted to face. After breakfast, I decided I needed the support of Linda. I reached for my phone, my fingers hesitating over the screen as I contemplated how to express the magnitude of what had occurred. Finally, I texted her, asking if we could meet. When she replied with a quick, "Of course, can't wait to see you," I felt a flicker of relief. A part of me needed her understanding, her presence, as I navigated the chaos that had become my life. We agreed to meet at a small cafe that had always been our sanctuary. When I arrived, the familiar scent of freshly brewed coffee and baked goods wrapped around me like a warm hug. But it did little to ease the heaviness in my chest. Linda was already there, her bright smile a beacon of comfort amidst my storm. I sat down, and her eyes immediately narrowed with concern. "Sarah, what happened last night? You look like you've seen a ghost," she said, her voice gentle yet probing. I took a shaky breath, then poured out everything: David's confession, my shock, the way the joy of the wedding was ripped away in an instant. As I spoke, I could see her expression shift from concern to surprised, disbelief, and finally to sympathy. "Oh, honey, I can't believe he did that at your son's wedding of all places." Her tone was filled with indignation, and I appreciated her outrage. It mirrored my own feelings, affirming that I wasn't overreacting in my despair. "I thought we were happy, Linda. I thought we were solid. What do I do now?" I felt the tears sad prick my eyes, but I swallowed hard, determined not to break down in front of her. Linda reached across the table, taking my hand in hers. "You deserve to be happy, Sarah. This is a huge betrayal, and you need to give yourself permission to feel angry, to grieve what you thought you had." Her words rang true, and a wave of emotion surged through me. I had spent so long focusing on everyone else's happiness, Michael's wedding, Jenna's excitement, David's needs, that I had neglected my own feelings, my own desires. I just don't understand how he could do this to me, I admitted, my voice sad trembling. What does she have that I don't? Sarah, it's not about what you lack. You are strong, kind, and loving. This is his failure, not yours, Linda reassured me. You've built a life together, and it's going to take time to untangle all of this. But you will. You're not alone. I nodded, feeling the warmth of her support seep into my bones. As we talked, I began to envision a future without David, a future where I could rediscover who I was outside of being a wife. I realized that I had put so much of myself into being a partner that I had lost touch with my own identity. I had interests and dreams that had gathered dust while I focused on our family. Have you thought about what you want to do? Linda asked, her eyes hopeful, encouraging. You could travel, pick up a hobby, or even take a class. Anything that lights a spark in you. The thought felt foreign, yet exciting. I had always wanted to travel, to see the world beyond my little bubble. I remembered the postcards David and I had collected together over the years, but had never acted upon. What if I took a trip by myself? Or started painting again? I had loved it as a child, the way colors danced on canvas. But I had let life's responsibilities overshadow that passion. Maybe I could, I said slowly, letting the possibility, hopeful, take root in my mind. I could start painting again. Or before I could finish my thought, the cafe door swung open and in walked Michael and Jenna, hand in hand, their faces beaming with happiness. I felt a sharp pang in my heart. How could they look so joyful when my world felt like it was crumbling? I forced a smile, but it felt strained. "Mom, Linda, there you are," Michael exclaimed, his voice bright and carefree. "We wanted to see you both. The wedding was amazing, wasn't it?" He didn't notice the tightness in my smile or the underlying tension in the air. Jenna chimed in, her eyes sparkling. "It really was. We can't thank you enough for everything you did." "And the toasts. Oh my gosh, your toast, Michael? It was perfect." I forced a nod, my stomach twisting in knots as I recalled David's words from the night before. "Yeah, well, it had some sarcastic moments," I muttered, trying to keep my tone light. Michael tilted his head, sensing my discomfort. "Are you okay, Mom? You don't look too well." "I'm fine, just a little tired," I lied, knowing I couldn't burden him with my heartache today. Not today, of all days. "Let's celebrate. We'll go grab lunch together," Jenna suggested, clearly oblivious to the crack forming in the fabric of our family. I exchanged a glance with Linda, who nodded subtly, encouraging me to embrace this moment, to be present for Michael and Jenna. As we left the cafe, hand in hand with my best friend, I felt the seeds of hopeful resilience being planted within me. While my heart remained heavy, I knew that I had the support of those who loved me. I resolved to take one day at a time and rediscover who I was, without the shadow of betrayal looming over me. I was confident, ready to embrace the unknown and reshape my future, starting today. Walking back to the wedding venue, I felt like I was moving through a dream, or perhaps a nightmare. My mind was a swirling storm of emotions, each one crashing into the next. As Michael and Jenna prepared for their first dance, I couldn't shake the feeling that my world had flipped upside down. David's words echoed in my ears, a haunting reminder that love can sometimes fracture in the most unexpected moments. I could see Michael laughing with his friends, sarcastic, oblivious to the storm brewing beneath the surface.
In that moment, I wished I could dive into that laughter and forget everything, but the weight of reality pulled me down.
Linda squeezed my hand tighter as we approached the reception area, where guests mingled with glasses of champagne in hand. She could sense my turmoil and did her best to offer silent comfort. "You're doing great, Sarah," she whispered, her voice calm, steady amidst the chaos. I appreciated her efforts, but the truth was that I was struggling to maintain my composure. I didn't want to tarnish this day for Michael and Jenna, but the thought of facing David felt like a mountain I was ill-equipped to climb. As I entered the beautifully decorated hall, I took a deep breath, inhaling the sweet scent of flowers and the aroma of the delicious feast waiting to be served. Each decoration was a reminder of the love that had brought Michael and Jenna to this moment, yet my heart ached for what felt irreparably broken. I spotted Jenna's mother, a warm and inviting presence, chatting with a few guests. I made my way toward her, needing someone to anchor me, someone who could help me navigate the emotional maze I was in. "Sarah, you look lovely," she said, her smile brightening her face. I managed a polite smile in response, but her kindness only served to deepen my sorrow. "Thank you," I replied softly. "I'm just trying to hold it together." She took a step closer, her eyes reflecting understanding. "I can only imagine how you're feeling. But remember, this day is about love and family. Don't let anything overshadow that." Her words were meant to comfort me, yet they were a stark reminder of the fracture threatening our family. I excused myself politely, retreating to a quieter corner of the room where I could gather my thoughts. The laughter and music faded into a dull murmur, and I closed my eyes, hoping to find a moment of clarity, but instead, all I could think about was David's confession. He had shattered my trust, and I didn't know how to rebuild it. Was love so easily cast aside? Did he ever truly love me, or was I simply a chapter in his life that he was ready to close? The sound of footsteps brought me back to the present. I opened my eyes to see Michael approaching, a bright smile lighting up his face. "Mom, have you seen Jenna? She's looking for you," he said, his excitement evident. I forced a smile, my heart sad at the joy in his eyes. "Not yet, sweetheart. I'll go find her," I replied, hoping my tone didn't betray my internal struggle. As he turned to walk away, I caught a glimpse of his wedding band, which seemed to shine with an hopeful innocence and promise I longed for. I found Jenna standing near the cake table, her eyes sparkling with happiness. She wore a gorgeous dress that flowed elegantly around her, and for a brief moment, I allowed myself to feel the joy of the occasion. "Sarah, can you help me with the bouquet toss?" she asked, her excitement infectious. I nodded, pushing aside my feelings for the moment. "Of course, I'd love to." Helping her feel special on her big day was important, and I didn't want my issues to overshadow her happiness. As we prepared for the toss, I caught snippets of laughter and playful banter from the guests, a stark contrast to the sad turmoil in my heart. I watched Jenna's friends gather, all of them eager to catch the bouquet, and I couldn't help but admire her ability to find joy in this moment. Perhaps I needed to learn from her to find a way to navigate through my pain without overshadowing Michael's happiness. The moment came and Jenna threw the bouquet into the air. It soared beautifully, a hopeful symbol of hope and love, before landing squarely in the hands of one of her friends. The cheers and claps echoed around us, and for a moment, I felt the happy warmth of their joy wrap around me like a comforting blanket.
But then my thoughts drifted back to David, and the sense of betrayal darkened the air. After the bouquet toss, I took a moment away from the crowd. I needed to confront David, to understand the extent of his feelings and what they meant for us. As I approached him, I felt a mix of fear and resolve. I had spent years building a life with this man, and I was not about to let his confession define me. "David, can we talk?" I said, my voice steady despite the trembling in my heart. He looked up, surprise and regret etched across his face, but he nodded. I led him to a quieter spot, away from the festivities. The music faded to a soft thrum, allowing us to hear our own breaths as I steeled myself for the conversation ahead. He started to speak, words tumbling out in a rush. "Sarah, I didn't mean for this to happen."
But I raised my hand, needing to interrupt. "I don't want excuses, David. I want to understand. What does this mean for us, for our family?" His expression shifted, the regret deepening as he realized the impact of his choices. "I love her," he admitted, his voice breaking slightly. "But I also love you. I've made mistakes, and I'm so sorry." The weight of his confession crashed over me, pushing me to the brink of tears. Yet, amidst the sadness, I felt an ember of hope flickering within me. Love isn't just words, David. It's actions, commitment, and trust. You've broken that trust, and I need to know if it can ever be rebuilt. As we stood there, I realized that this moment could either shatter me or redefine me. With the wedding celebration swirling around us, I felt the stakes of our conversation lay bare. It was clear that I had to make a decision, not just for my own heart, but for Michael and Jenna as well. In that charged silence, I could either choose to sink into despair or rise above it. As painful as it was, the clarity was beginning to dawn within me. I wouldn't let David's choices dictate my worth or my future. I was confident to navigate this tumultuous path, even if it led me to places I hadn't anticipated. And as I looked into David's eyes, I knew the journey ahead would be fraught with challenges, but I also sensed that I would emerge stronger for both myself and for my family. If you've ever faced a moment where everything changed, I invite you to share your story. Together, we can find strength in our experiences. The wedding reception felt surreal, like I was watching a scene from a movie where the lead actress stood frozen in a moment of shock while chaos swirled around her. Jenna, with her beautiful white dress now resembling a canvas of confusion, clutched Michael's arm as if anchoring herself to reality. I could see the hurt reflected in her eyes, a mirror of my own anguish. Guests whispered and stared, their expressions shifting between sympathy and surprised curiosity. I wanted to scream, to make them understand that this wasn't just a dramatic moment. It was my life unraveling before me. I turned away from the scene, needing space to breathe, to think. I found Linda near the bar, her brows knitted in concern. She must have sensed my turmoil because she immediately stepped towards me, her presence a comfort amid the chaos. "Sarah, are you okay?" she asked gently, taking my hands in hers. The warmth of her grip momentarily calmed the storm inside me, but I couldn't allow myself to break down, not yet. "I don't know what to do." "Linda," I admitted, my voice barely above a whisper. "Everything feels shattered. David's confession, it felt so surprised, out of nowhere. I thought we were happy."
I could feel the familiar weight of tears threatening to spill, but I blinked them away. I needed clarity, not more confusion. "Let's step outside," she suggested. Her tone was calm, but there was an urgency in her eyes that pushed me to follow her. We moved through the gathering, the music still playing but now sounding distant, muffled by the roaring thoughts in my head. When we reached the patio, the cool evening air hit my skin, refreshing yet stark against my swirling emotions. "What are you thinking?" Linda asked, leaning against the railing as she watched me closely. I took a deep breath, gathering my thoughts. "I don't know how I can face him after this," I confessed.
He just ruined our son's wedding with that announcement. He didn't think about any of us. Maybe he didn't think at all, Linda replied, her tone turning sharp. It sounds like he's been struggling, but that doesn't excuse his actions. You need to decide what you want moving forward. Do you want to fight for your marriage? I looked out at the stars beginning to twinkle in the darkening sky, their beauty juxtaposed with the sad tumult in my heart. I thought I did, but how can I trust him again? Love is supposed to be a foundation, a promise. What do you do when that promise feels broken? Linda stepped closer, her voice softer now. You take your time, Sarah. You don't have to decide anything tonight. You have to let yourself feel all of this, anger, sadness, confusion, without rushing to conclusions. Her words settled into my heart, offering me the first semblance of peace I had felt since David's confession. As we stood there in silence, I began to hear the muffled laughter and clinking of glasses from inside the reception hall. Michael and Jenna's day was meant to be joyous, a celebration of love, yet here I was, grappling with betrayal. I thought of my son, caught in the crossfire of adult struggles he shouldn't have to face. I need to check on them, I said suddenly, the urge to protect my son outweighing my own pain. Linda nodded, understanding. "I'll be right behind you," she promised. Together, we walked back into the swirling chaos, and I felt the air grow thick with the tension of unspoken words. I spotted Michael across the room, his face a mix of confusion and anger as he tried to console Jenna, who was now in tears. My heart broke for both of them. They didn't deserve this. I approached slowly, unsure of how to bridge the distance created by David's blunder. "Hey," I said softly, reaching out to touch Michael's arm. His eyes met mine, and I saw the flash of disappointment there, a reflection of my own feelings. "I'm so sorry about all of this," I said, struggling to maintain my composure. "Mom, how could he do that?" Michael asked, his voice strained. "This is supposed to be our day, and he trailed off, unable to finish the thought. I squeezed his arm gently, wishing I could shield him from this heartbreak. "I don't know, sweetheart. I truly don't," I replied, my heart aching for both him and Jenna. "But you deserve to have your joy today. Let me talk to Jenna, okay?" He nodded, and I turned to Jenna, who had stepped away from the group, her hands nervous trembling as she wiped her tears. "Jenna," I said softly, stepping closer. "I'm so sorry for everything. You should be celebrating, not dealing with this." She looked at me, her expression a mix of hurt and confusion. How can I celebrate when the man I thought I was marrying just shattered everything? Her voice cracked, and I felt a rush of sadness for her plight. I don't even know if I can trust Michael's family. I reached out, placing a gentle, comforting hand on her shoulder.
Trust can be rebuilt, but it takes time. I promise you, I will do everything I can to make this right. You deserve a happy beginning, no matter how messy this moment feels. Jenna's gaze softened slightly, and I could see a flicker of hope in her eyes. "Thank you, Sarah," she replied, her voice steadier now. "I just need some time to process everything." "Take all the time you need," I reassured her. "We're all in this together." "And I won't let David's mistakes ruin this for you." As we stood side by side, I realized that while my world felt like it was crumbling, I had the power to hope heal the wounds around me. Turning my gaze back to Michael, I saw him talking to a few family members, trying to maintain his composure despite the chaos. He was strong, just like his father had once been, but now I understood that strength could also mean vulnerability. In this moment, as I stood between my son and his fiancée, I felt a surge of determination to ensure that love, even amidst heartache, would still find a way to prevail.